Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another video. Of course, like I always say, it's been a while, but we're back. So I'll get right into it. 992 GT3 Cup is just been released for iRacing, and of course that's like this year's Super Cup car, Carrera Cup North America. There's only a few series that are getting the car initially, so pretty cool for the real world. To have that car out, especially to be released in North America, is one of the first seasons. So in this video, we're going to drive the 991 Cup. We'll set a time at Road Atlanta, and then we'll jump in the 992 and see what's different. How does the car feel? Should be a big chassis difference, suspension difference, engine, the dash layout, and the interior. All of that is different in the 992. So it'll be pretty interesting to see the difference back to back. So let's jump in it now. I'm going to go set a time with the 991, and then we'll jump right into the 992 and start talking about that. All right, so let's jump in. We've got the baseline setup loaded so that it's baseline to baseline. There's no trick hot rod setup on the 991. As you'll see, we did a 120.5. That's incredibly fast for real life. That was always the problem with the 991 Cup. Is a lot of tracks, it was just way too fast. I don't know. It's been a while since I've driven this car, so I don't know if there's any updates that'll slow it down or speed it up, or what it's going to be like. So we'll just jump straight into the hot lap from here. Okay, so ran a 21.03 and then a 20.9, so two pretty close laps there, about a tenth. My fastest lap from before, as you saw, was a 20.5. So we're within, half a second of like my best lap ever, and we're on baseline setup with like full fuel load. So not going to get any better than that right now. So that's a pretty good benchmark. Doing like a 21.0 basically. Let's go jump into the 992 and see if it feels any different. Boom, here it is, 992 Cup. In fresh white, like a Cup car should come. Porsche, not silver like these 992s. White, like all Cup cars from every previous generation from the 964. Don't at me. So, it looks good. It looks good, white on white. I'm a little biased, but had to do it. I like it better in iRacing than I think I do in real life. I think they did a pretty good job. Yeah, got the headlights, the detail and the X on the headlights, and all the little vents and scoops, and the wide body and the big fenders, and should be pretty cool. I mean, you know, it's a proper race car, proper GT3 Cup car. So let's jump inside of it and see how it actually drives, and not just how it looks. So immediately you notice the dashboard, the big dash. It's different. Got the new steering wheel, like all the cool GT3 cars these days. All the pretty cool buttons down there, and carbon dash, carbon doors, like all Cup cars have carbon doors. So yeah, pretty neat, pretty neat. Pretty excited to see how it drives. So let's take it out. As you can see, I already did a few laps, so I'm lying to you a little bit. But 21.3, just kind of see what we can do, get used to the car, make sure it works, and let's see if we can better our time of the 991 and break down into the 120s. Immediately you notice it sounds different as well. It sounds just like the GT3R, which I am not a fan of. I think the 991 sounds way better. But already, you know, I noticed the car's a little bit softer. It's a little bit more compliant and easier over the bumps coming down here into the S's. The 991 a lot of times would really get out of shape, especially as you hit turn 5. It really kind of wiggle and move around, and it was pretty aggressive. This has not done that to me yet, so I think that's pretty cool, which is as it should. You know, it's a double wishbone front suspension in the 992 Cup now, instead of a McPherson strut like in the 997s, 991s. So it should be a lot more compliant and a lot softer, but hook up better because of that double wishbone front and rear now. Brakes are better for sure. Again, this is, you know, baseline setup. Excuse me, baseline setup full of fuel as it comes. Much more stable through there. Takes a nice jump. Big slide, but it's catchable. Kind of throws you offline, but... And then I crash. But the slide was catchable. I crashed because I went through the grass. But it's also cold tires too, first lap. So, you know, I'm trying to go flat out. But the 991, I feel like I wouldn't have even gotten to that point. So I definitely think there's an improvement in the rear end stability with the 992. Again here, I mean, it's like one-handed through here, no big deal, no problem. It might be part of just baseline setup being a little bit higher and a little bit softer. Of a setup overall. So maybe when the hot rod setups come out and they lower the car, it'll, you know, become a little bit more harsh over the bumps again. But you know, even coming out of 7 and getting on the power, it feels like I can get to full throttle sooner, and I don't have to worry about the car wanting to just blow the rear tires off and kick me sideways. Locking up the front just a little bit. My previous run, I ran the brake bias a little bit more rearward. Seems to be a little too far to the front for me, stock. But again, it's really stable that way too. A little bit of a slide, catchable, easy. Locking up the front right. Nice slide coming out of 5. It's not fast, as you see we're losing time, but I'm able to do it. This car feels much more like a GT3R initially. When I first drove it, I felt like I was driving the GT3R. Of course, no traction control, no ABS in this car, way less downforce. But the 992 does have some downforce. With that new style gooseneck rear wing. I feel like I can get on power way sooner coming out of 10B. Nice and like way softer, more compliant over the hill through 11 and on the curb through 12. Much more stable through 2, kind of getting on the brake, ready for 3. Usually it's like a big lift, really soft on the brake in the 991, whereas this feels like it kind of just soaks that up as you're kind of like cresting to the left, and then as you're braking. The 991 really didn't like that. A lot of cars really don't like that in iRacing. Full throttle, easy, no problem. It's not trying to spin up the diff, not trying to spin up the tire, you know, an inside tire. It's not trying to wiggle and do weird things, like just kind of holding the steering wheel in one place and flooring it. And it's not really complaining. It doesn't seem to really care. So that's a nice update. Locking up the front, going a little deep. See, it's just nice and controllable. Bring that brake bias back. Pretty cool graphic on the dash with the brake bias. Little slip angle through there now as the tires are pretty warmed up. Getting some rubber down on the track. Oh, it's so much more stable through 5 at the top there. Great drive coming out of 7. Got a pretty decent lap going. See if we can not screw up 10A and B again. Got our brake bias set to the rear a little bit more. Yeah, just a nice, gentle slide. Give me a little bit of rotation coming out. That actually helped. I think a lot of curb through 12, it does not care. So a 20.9, so that's basically the same as the 991 Cup times. Let's see, we can keep getting better as we get used to the car here. Not ideal. Woo. Huh, so that's a 20.964. That's pretty funny. 964. Let's see. I've got the brake bias set 43.5. Let's try that, and let's see if I can get a little bit more used to the car and get this lap time down a bit more. Saved it. All right, let's take a look. So 20.964, best lap on lap 4. And then I kind of was struggling to get anywhere near that again. 21.3, and then it was like 22, high 26, or high 21, high 21, mid 21, mid 21. So I'm going to reset and grab some fresh tires, and it'll reset the fuel back to full, new tires, and see if I can kind of just like take a second and then and see if we can go any faster, or if, you know, the 992 Cup basically is just as fast as the 991, but it certainly seems easier to drive at, you know, a 21, a mid 21. Feels like it comes a lot easier. I feel like I'm making a lot of mistakes and still doing a mid 21, whereas the 991, it was kind of like on edge, and mistakes cost you more, I think. You know, because you can kind of slide the car around a little bit more. If you get offline and hit the curb, it doesn't bounce the car around and bounce, you know, really kind of bounce the front end around. It's a lot more compliant, and it'll kind of almost like porpoise. It's really soft on the front end, so it'll kind of hit the bump, and you kind of feel the front end move around a little bit. So I think it's a lot more forgiving. Is probably the easiest way to say it. And the 992 seems more correct to the real world sort of speeds. I mean, I know, you know, kind of some of the lap times that this car can run, and even at Road Atlanta, and this is correct for a 992 Cup at Road Atlanta in good conditions. So the 991 was simply just too fast, really. I mean, there was one point where you could run like a 19, you know, low to mid 119s at Road Atlanta in the Cup car. I mean, that's just like ridiculous. I mean, real life in those cars is like a 124 is like the best you'll ever get. You know, maybe on a perfect day with amazing brand new Michelins and low fuel, and, you know, you might jump into the 23s or something, but the 991 has always been too fast. So it feels like the correction is now been made with the 992. Like it's correct to the real world again, at least for Road Atlanta. Obviously, I haven't driven this car, you know, at a bunch of other tracks, and, you know, I downloaded this right before making the video because I wanted to get a real, you know, sort of first impression of it. What's it actually feel like baseline? So I'm going to try, you know, one more for a hot lap, see if we can dip into the mid 120s on baseline setup with full fuel, and then and just kind of see how that goes. Yeah, good gain still through turn one. Asking a little much of the rears through turn 4 and down into the S's. See if they'll hold for 5. Oh, not really. Still complaining. Trying to get a good run out of 7. Nope, not that good of a run. Losing time. Started to overheat the rear tires a little bit there. through 4, kind of held down the S's, and they were not happy up 5. Nope, that's wrong. A little too hot in the 10A. Let's see if we got one more lap out of these tires. Front end starting to give up a little bit. Be a little bit more gentle on the rears. Try to get a good run out of 5. A little bit slower in. Got to power a little bit sooner. Yep, tires are definitely dropping off. Not bad though. I feel like in the previous run I was able to you know, get several laps pretty consistent with these tires. So kind of an initial drop off and then pretty stable after that. So gained a little bit of time back. 20.954, 100th of a second. Big slide, I induced that one. Started to push. I lifted to kind of get some weight on the front end and then floored it again and really just kicked the rear out. So that was me causing that one. A little bit of tire spin out of 7. The rear tires kind of got a little overworked earlier in the lap, but again, I mean, we're only a 1/10 of a second off after having a big slide and kind of a bad run. It definitely feels a little bit more forgiving. You know, like I said before, like the race pace is easier to keep, you know, a little bit faster. I think is what we're going to see in this car. Where the 991, you know, you do 10 laps and the thing's really dropping off. Hard to keep it in line. Rear ends wanting to kick out everywhere and go nuts. I have not experienced that yet in the 992. Pushing a little hard, but you can get on the curbs, you can go through the grass, and just keep driving, you know. But again, baseline setup, it's going to be a little bit taller, a little bit softer, but, you know, it's super consistent. If there was a league that ran the 992 Cup with baseline setup as a fixed force setup, I think it'd be incredibly fun. I think this thing's great, you know. It's really balanced, really well, you know, pretty neutral. A little bit of understeer sometimes, a little bit of oversteer sometimes. You can kind of force it into either one if you need to. Nice little slide out of there. I mean, it's like if you need the rotation, you can kind of snap it into, you know, a little bit of oversteer. But if you don't want it to, you don't have to. You know, you can kind of save the tires, but you can kind of play with it. It's really fun. I think this thing's great. I think they nailed it. Well done, iRacing. I wish it sounded better. That would be my main thing. This and the GT3R. See, once we get the S's right, we gain time back. Of course, as I say that, we screw up, but again, I just went off on the outside of 5 and the car didn't care. It's pretty cool. I think you could have a lot of fun racing this car in some fixed setup leagues. I'm really curious to see what the, you know, what VRS, and I use a lot of VRS setups. Really curious to see what VRS comes out with and what the Super Cup guys, you know, in the esports Super Cup, what they kind of do with these cars and the lap times they start extracting out of them. You know, those esports guys, I mean, they just take these things to a whole another level. It'll be really interesting. A lot of curb through 12. You do not want to do that in real life. That usually ends up in a big pirouette down the front straight, but you can get away with it. Pretty cool. Even there, jumping turn 3, you know, the front end kind of bounces a little bit, but it's hooked up. I mean, it makes it. I mean, you can just kind of throw the car around. You can get offline, you can do weird things, and it doesn't punish you as bad. So let's take a look in the garage real quick. Tire pressures, yeah, 20.5, that's pretty normal. Hot, 24, 23, 24. Front roll bar, excuse me, front roll bar, yeah, tow, fuel level. I mean, pretty basic, minimal, you know, sort of setup stuff. Wing setting, let's see, 14. So we're at 10 of 14. We could bring that down. Top speed was a bit down. We were at like 158 in the 992 compared to like 163 in the 991. So there's definitely, you know, the 992 has like 510 horsepower or something versus like the 485 of the 991. Has more power, but obviously it's a wide body car. It's got the big gooseneck wing. It's a little bit more draggy, just being a wide body car, you know, a turbo body car, and all the big scoops and, you know, all the stuff all over it. It definitely is a draggier car, so that's correct. It should be kind of down on power, or down on top speed, even though it has more horsepower. So that's probably where a lot of the lap time comes from. For the 991, is that thing in relation is pretty slick, you know, just really kind of cuts through that air. We see that at Daytona a lot too with the 997s and 991s, and you know, even the 996s with a hot motor. I mean, those things just pull so much mile an hour on the top end compared to an RSR or a GT3R with the huge bodywork and the real wide fenders and, you know, big splitters. It kind of kills you. You know, you can go faster in the corners, but you know, on the back straight of Road Atlanta or at Daytona, you're just going to get driven by. So pretty cool to see that you know, that difference is there. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Overall, 992 Cups, super fun. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it progresses, you know, as iRacing does updates and the Super Cup guys get a hold of it for the upcoming season, and everybody just kind of runs it and they tweak it and play with it, and, you know, running it. I want to go run it at some more tracks and see what it does. You know, what, you know, the Carrera Cup North America guys have run in real life, and kind of compare that and what Super Cup has run at some of the European tracks. So it'll be really cool to see. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.